Here's a question worth sitting with. What do you do the moment after you finally get the thing you've wanted your whole life? Most of us do the natural thing. We hold on to it, we protect it, we found the thing that works, and now the whole job is to keep it working. Tiger Woods did the opposite, and it's the most important thing he ever did, more important than any single win. This is a lesson about the courage to take apart the very thing that's succeeding. April 1997. Tiger wins the Masters by 12 shots, the largest margin in the history of the tournament. 21 years old, the best round of golf the sport had ever watched. He had a swing that had just conquered Augusta, a swing that, by every measure available to a human being, worked. A few weeks later, he flew to Orlando, sat down in a studio, and watched the tape of that performance back, over and over. And he wasn't watching to enjoy it, he was watching to take it apart. By the time he was done, he had found more than a dozen things about his swing he wanted to rebuild. He went to his coach and told him he wanted to change it, all of it. His coach, understandably, pushed back. You just won the Masters by 12. You have the sweetest swing in golf. Why mess with success? And Tiger said this: I want to change this. I want to do it now. He wasn't fixing something broken. He was dismantling something that had just won the biggest tournament in the world on purpose, because when he looked closely, he could see a ceiling on it and he wanted a higher one. And his reasoning is the part most people miss. That winning swing was powered by raw, violent power. He was driving the ball 320 yards, further than almost anyone alive. But power is streaky. It gives you a chance on weeks you're hot. What Tiger wanted was something quieter and far more dangerous. I want to have a chance all the time. I don't want to just have a chance on the weeks when I'm hot. Read that as a life philosophy and it changes shape. He wasn't chasing a better peak, he was chasing the higher floor, a version of himself that showed up every single week, not just the good ones. And he understood that the swing that wins by 12 on a hot week is not the swing that gives you a chance every week. To get one, he had to surrender the other. His own biographers put it like this: elite athletes are always tinkering, always looking for an edge. But there was no precedent, none, for an athlete at the very top of a sport voluntarily stepping down from the peak for a long stretch of time in the hope of coming back better. Nobody did that. Tiger did that. His father, the man who had built him, didn't fully understand it. Tiger did it anyway. And it cost him badly for a long time. Because when you tear down the thing that works, you don't get the better version immediately. First, you get worse. After that Masters, Tiger didn't win again for over a year. It took him nearly 2 years, 22 months, to master the new swing. He went 854 days between his first major championship and his second, 2.5 years. Look at what that stretch actually looked like on paper. In the majors, the tournaments that define a golfer's life, he finished 19th at the US Open, 24th at the British Open, 29th at the PGA Championship. He crashed out of a tournament in Las Vegas on the back of one bad round. This is the same young man who, 18 months earlier, had lapped the field at Augusta. Now think about what that felt like from the outside and from the inside. From the outside, the story wrote itself. The prodigy who won the Masters by 12 was suddenly, visibly not winning. The whisper started. Was he a flash in the pan? Did he peak at 21? Golf writers reached for the word slump. Grown men on the tour began quietly suggesting that golf's great new hope had already come and gone. From the inside, it was worse. Because of who he was, his whole life, his single favourite word, the word that defined him from the age of 3, was compete. Winning wasn't something Tiger enjoyed, it was the only thing that felt like breathing. And now he had chosen, deliberately, to stop being able to do the one thing that made him feel alive. His biographers called it what it was: a mental wall. Test of whether he could keep believing while every scoreboard in the world told him he was wrong. And here's the part that matters. Through all of it, he was not lost. He wasn't falling. He was doing exactly what he had decided to do, holding on to a belief that almost nobody around him could see. That was the right thing for the long run. He was willing to look like he was going backwards in public for 2 years in front of everyone because he could see where it ended and they couldn't. That is a very particular kind of loneliness. To know something about your own future that no one else will believe until it arrives. To take the criticism, the doubt, the slump headlines, and keep dismantling anyway, quietly, because the version of you that everyone's mourning was never the version you were building toward. Somewhere in that stretch, the word he lived by started to change. For his whole life, it had been compete. By the end of the rebuild, those close to him noticed a new word had taken its place: balance. He had gone into the wall as one kind of person and come out the other side as another. Where it ended was this. The new swing came together, and in 2000, Tiger Woods put together what is still widely called the single greatest season in the history of golf. He won three majors in a row. He held all four at once. He won a US Open by 15 shots, the largest margin in the history of major championship golf, a record that still stands to this day. He didn't come back to where he'd been, he came back to a place where no golfer had ever been. The swing that won the 1997 Masters could never have done that. He knew it in that dark studio in Orlando watching the tape. That's why he tore it down. And here's the detail that proves it wasn't luck or a one time gamble that happened to pay off. He did it again. Years later, at the peak of his powers, Tiger rebuilt his swing a second time, an even more radical teardown, essentially starting over from scratch. Twice at the very top of the sport, he chose to become temporarily worse in pursuit of a higher ceiling. It wasn't a moment of madness, it was a philosophy. Tearing down what worked was simply how Tiger Woods operated. So here's a lesson, and it's for you, for me, not for him. The thing in your life that's working right now, the safe job, the routine, the skill you've leaned on for years, the version of yourself that got you this far, that thing is not always your friend. Sometimes it's the exact ceiling you can't see past, precisely because it works, because it's comfortable, because tearing it down means being worse for a while, out in the open where people can watch you struggle. And here's the reason almost nobody does it. It isn't that they can't see the higher ceiling, plenty of people can. It's that they can't stomach the descent, the months or the years in the valley, looking like they've lost it, while the people around them whisper that they've peaked. The fear of going backwards is stronger than the pull of going higher. So most people spend their whole lives quietly defending a swing that wins by 12. They protect the good thing, and they never once find out what they might have built if they'd been brave enough to break it. Think about that for a second, because there is almost certainly something in your life like that right now. Something that works, something you're protecting, something you already suspect has a ceiling on it. Tiger's lesson isn't work hard. Everybody says work hard. His lesson is quieter and much harder to hear. It's this: the courage was never in reaching the top. The courage is being willing to take yourself apart once you're finally standing on it.